Honestly, I think that's something that people really need to realize, that like having a business is quite lonely. And I've really spoken about this on my page recently. I've shared it with friends and stuff. I think especially our age is like quite rare.
Rebekah, founder of Affinity Beauty Clinic, launched a business in 2019 during her first year of university, driven by a passion for independence and an ambition to inspire others. Growing up on a council estate in Southwark, London, she aimed to transform her circumstances while empowering others to achieve their dreams. By the end of COVID, Rebekah had become a fully booked lash artist and educator. Today she runs her own space, leads a team, trains students nationwide through Affinity's Academy, offering courses to support aspiring beauty professionals. Rebekah, welcome to Trampoline's podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so is this your first podcast?
Yeah, it is actually.
First time. And have you done any interviews before?
No, I've done a couple talks within my industry, but I've never done like a podcast. So I think it's going to be nice to actually have a one-on-one conversation rather than speaking to a crowd.
Yeah. In these conversations, we like to just keep them, natural. There's no set questions where it feels like an interrogation kind of. So yeah, we'll just, talk a bit about yourself and your business and then, see where it goes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so, what we like to do to start the conversation is just a little bit about yourself and your business for the people that might not know who you are.
Okay, so obviously I'm Rebekah. I'm the owner of Affinity Beauty Clinic. I have been in the beauty industry for 6 years now. I originally went to university and I was studying sociology with criminology. And I found there was a gap in the market because a lot of uni students couldn't find a local person that was like reasonable. And as I lived in the area, as I went to Goldsmiths, I was like, okay, I'm going to take my chance and I'm going to train in eyelashes. So while I was at uni, I took the opportunities to like train and use obviously all the students because it was cheap and everyone wanted it done. And that's how I grew my business from there. So then COVID hit, we had to close. But it was actually a blessing in disguise for me personally because I could upskill, train in things, do online courses, and actually figure out how to make my business profitable so we could expand once we opened. And then we opened and I've been fully booked ever since.
Okay. And when was you at university?
Oh my goodness, 2018?
18?
Yeah.
Okay. And was you still in university during COVID?
Oh yeah, actually, I was in my last year.
Last year, okay. Yeah, because I was actually in my second year.
Yeah, when COVID hit.
During COVID, yeah. So similarly, I had a lot more time to play with. And that's when you start getting a bit creative and these business ideas come through. So yeah, like similar to yourself, like, there's a lot more time to do your own research. And I studied finance. So whilst studying finance, I was like using that knowledge. And then I was like, I'm paying so much for this, but I can make this accessible to other people, right? So, I started learning the skills and what I was learning, I was turned into a business. So I was passing it on at a more affordable price than 27K for a uni, degree. But yeah, and then that's how it starts, right?
That's really interesting.
But yeah, so how, where did it come from? This, you're at university, you should be focusing on revising your coursework, but you thought about a business idea and thought, let me spend my time, divide my time onto this as well.
So to be honest, I had two jobs while I was at university, so my time was really limited. I think I was on Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, and every other day I was working. So my schedule was packed. And then I was also part of a cheer team, which sounds very preppy. We do have them in the UK. And the girls obviously came to me with demand because I always wore strip lashes. And they were like, Rebekah, we would love for you to, do our eyelashes. And I was like, well, I can't work two jobs and be at university. So I'm going to have to find a way around it. So then I came up with this idea of creating a business. I mean, I didn't intend for it to be actually a business. I know that sounds absolutely crazy. I was doing it as more like a hobby or like my friends. And then I saw that success in it and I was like, actually, this isn't a hobby anymore. But it took me a real long time to realize that actually this is not just a part-time job now. Like people actually see me as a business and as somewhere they can come to get their treatments and they want to come back. So it went from literally something I was doing for friends to actually having full-blown clientele very fast. So yeah.
Okay. And Yeah, that's to be honest, that's similar to myself because I was studying and learning the skills, but I didn't think that when you're studying something and you know something, you just assume that everyone else probably already knows it because it's easy to you. But then you forget that just because you know how to do something doesn't mean the next person does, right? And that's one thing I struggle with because I assume that everyone, if I can do something, then it's probably easy to them. But what I found is when you talk to people, they're like, "What are you on about?" But you're speaking about it so casually, like, and they're like, "What are you on about?" But yeah, so like you said, you had your friend group, which allowed you to kind of start, like, have a starting point. Um, but from there, how did you manage to find an audience outside of that?
Yeah, so social media is my thing, to be honest. I think that's one of the benefits of our generation is that social media for us is just second nature. Mm-hmm. So I utilized it massively. I'm really big on recording myself. I've always put myself in front of the camera. Although it's not my comfort zone, you have to push your comfort zone. What I found was because I was young, people, and I was putting myself in front of the camera, people could relate to me over a video. I would just talk to my stories, be like, "Hey guys, what's going on? So today I have this, and this clientele. Come along with me." And I would take them through my day, literally client to client to client. And then it would show them, one, that I'm busy, two, the quality of my work, and three, my personality. I mean, I've had a lot of clients come to me and be like, "You know what, Rebekah, I really loved who you were online. I knew I'd be comfortable. I felt safe knowing who I was coming to." So, yeah.
Yeah, so with the social media, first, there's a lot of people I speak to, business owners, new startups, and they don't really understand the importance of utilizing social media. But it's just so powerful now. Like, there's millions of users. Same way like we would consume media, like we're on TikTok scrolling through 100 videos, right? And how many businesses do we come across people advertising things to us? But yeah, so how important would you say social media is in today's business world? And
It's incredibly important. I mean, we spend a lot of time online. I think the best thing about it was that in COVID, everyone was online. Like, everyone was shopping online. We had nothing else to do. Yeah. Social media was our coping mechanism. And ever since then, I feel like more and more people found so much fame from that. Yeah. Influencers are an everyday thing now. We use them for marketing. Big companies are literally pushing influencers in front of us. It's the way forward. I mean, very rarely nowadays will you find a business that doesn't have social media, and that just relies on word of mouth. So social media is vital. However, people need to remember, if your social media accounts go down, how do you have access to the people you want to reach? So although you should have social media, you need an email list. You need a point of contact with the people that you're dealing with. Yeah. Because if that Instagram account closes, that Facebook account closes, and you're just relying on that, you've essentially lost your only marketing strategy. Yeah. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with that because, I've experienced it myself. Like, during COVID, I started a YouTube channel just out of a hobby, pure hobby, right? And, I understood how competitive it is. I didn't think it's going to, go anywhere. But I managed to tap into a niche, and it was tech / trading related, right? And there was a gap in the market because what people wanted to see is if I was to buy this laptop or iPad, how would it perform before I buy it? Same way if we wanted to buy something new, like you just picked up a new phone, you probably watched a few videos or done some research, like, am I going to buy this? Let me just see some videos quick. But that was just YouTube. Then I was like, this is like just limiting my audience. Why don't I make an Instagram page now, right? Then you've got two audience now. Like, you're reaching 10 times the people. Then I'd start a newsletter. And on that newsletter, you can promote your YouTube videos and your Instagram content, digital products that you make. So now you've got free, stream. Yeah. So, like you mentioned, if Instagram isn't doing too good, now YouTube's going to help you. So, yeah, a lot of people will limit themselves by just using Instagram or TikTok. But why limit yourself? There's so many platforms out there. Use whatever, Twitter, Facebook. But one thing I would say is you need to know your audience. the age groups, demographics, where are they going to be? Like your audience now will probably be mainly on Instagram, a lot of the younger people. But if you're, like Trampoline, for example, our audience is a lot older, which means Facebook, right?
Yeah.
But if we want to tap into a younger audience, it means using Instagram and TikTok, which is how people consume. But yeah, like making sure you have multiple kind of platforms to kind of promote your brand on is just, so important. But yeah, you mentioned that obviously during COVID, people, blowing up, people had a lot more time on their hands, similar to us. Like we utilized that time to grow brands and, work on our businesses. What I found anyway was there was a lot more people with spare time during COVID, people who had spare money lying around, a lot more time to say, I'm going to learn this skill. I need to make more money on board, which is where my business thrived because I was teaching a skill which allowed them to make money. But once COVID finished and everyone returned back to work and, expenses came back, people went back to their normal lives, the business basically stopped, right? Did you find something similar, or what was your like, did you think during COVID you had a bigger business or?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, no. I think it's different because I'm service-based.
Yeah.
So we had to close.
Mhm.
I mean, some people stayed open, but
Yeah.
like we had to close. So I found that actually, yes, my business halted, but for a really good reason. Like I had a client base beforehand, but in that time, because I'd used it to branch out, like you said, I found my ideal client. I knew that uni students love to come to me, but they're not the ones that can afford it all year round.
Yeah.
So then I remarketed myself. I become more elegant. I redesigned my logo. I decided that, okay, I'm going to make myself overall more professional. So I started reaching like the 25 to 35-year-olds, to be honest, who could afford it, wanted to look good, were finding their boyfriends, probably worked in finance or the offices near London Bridge because that's where I was based.
Yeah.
But I did include the uni students still, but I tend to find they're the uni students that are international. They have the higher budgets. So for me, because I remodeled who my ideal client was when we reopened, I literally had built that base, like I'd built that foundation. So they started to come to me because everyone was so bored during COVID, right? We was our basic versions of ourselves. We couldn't have access to beauty. When we came back, people wanted a more natural look because that's what they were used to, but they wanted to feel beautiful. They'd just spent absolute months in isolation, not feeling good about themselves, rotting away. That was their time to shine. So my business actually grew thanks to COVID, but I know it's not the case for everyone. Like some people did have to stop. I think I was also, I'd like to put out there that I was fortunate because I still lived at home. I, didn't really have any financial burdens. I was a uni student. Like I had all the time in the world. So I think that contributes to part of my success. I don't want to just say it's because, of my marketing tactics, because it wasn't. It was because I had the financial freedom, that maybe a 30-something-year-old with 2 children wouldn't,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, there's a few points there. Like a lot of you, like for any uni students watching, when they go to university, I feel like there's 2 groups of people. There'll be some that go for the uni life and to study. But then there'll be those that go to study but work on a side hustle or a business because they've got so much spare time. So they're like, why don't I use it? Because you're never going to get that back. Obviously, in school, you're studying whatever. In sixth form, maybe college, you have time. Once you're in university, like you said, you go in like Mondays, Wednesdays, and then the rest is up to you, how you want to handle your time. But yeah, like I said, there's those that just enjoy themselves and just have a good time. But then there's some that get into it like a business or, but like you said, there's no burden on you at that time. You've got your student finance maybe as well. If you're working a side job, you can just use that. You're not, most people will be living with their parents still just because, it's not really,
it's hard to buy in London. Let's face it as well. It's expensive to rent.
There used to be a time where you turn 18, now go find your house. It's
not those times.
It's not those times. And yeah, exactly. With the housing market and everything. But yeah, so like, what would you say to those who are in university and how to spend their time. And, not everyone has to, but, if you want to come out of university with more than just a degree under your belt, what would you kind of say to them?
I think this is a really tough question for me because I found university particularly difficult. I would say, to be honest, don't try and balance everything. I think, it's okay to not be productive some days. So find a routine. I think that's the key thing for me. I found a routine. Like I'd get up, I'd go gym, I'd get a certain amount of work done. I wasn't trying to write an essay in a day, I'd get little bits done, and consistency adds up. But what I'd say is, like, if you do want to build a business, make sure you're utilizing your student finance. I know that sounds hilarious, but like it paid for the courses I wanted to do. I was working a job as well, so I had obviously multiple income streams. But if you don't want to work a job, don't just, I don't know what I spent my student finance on. Obviously, apart from my business, I think, when you're a student, you don't really care. You're like, oh my God, I'm suddenly so rich because you've been given this money. Yeah. But if I was smarter, like looking back then, I definitely would have invested a bit more. I would have invested in maybe some side courses I want to do, even if it's a tripod, like get a tripod, get a light, get the things that are going to aid to your business, and use your time wisely. When you're a student, on the weekends, I don't know about you, I'm not a huge party girl. I think that was my advantage. But when on the weekends, when you just want to rot in bed, try and be productive. Like there's still 2 days worth of work you could get done there. I mean, rot a little bit, that's absolutely fine. But like try and use some of those hours, like go sit in a cafe for an hour. And even if that's little bits on your website, if you're trying to create a website, I don't know, just do your research as well. And that will set you really good foundations for when you leave. I don't know about you, but when I left uni, I did graduate as well. And when I left, I felt, although I had my business, I felt a little bit lost. It's like, okay, should I go into my job? Should I follow my business? Because all of your friends are leaving and getting like big corporate jobs, and you're relying on your own income, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Just trust your instincts. Like, you've got this. And honestly, I speak to a lot of my uni friends now, and they're like, Rebekah, like, we're so jealous that you just get to work whatever hours, go gym when you want and stuff like that, because they're now stuck into their 9 to 5, and they've got even less time than I have to work on the business.
But like you said, that comes down to how they use their time. They used it differently, clearly, right? But you're enjoying the life you have now because of the hard work you put in when you could have been partying, enjoying yourself.
Bit of balance,
Yeah.
Partying, just try and get up. Like, deal with your hangover. We're adults now. Deal with your hangover and get moving. Get outside, get some fresh air, go sit in a cafe, grab a coffee and work on your laptop.
Yeah, like, the thing is, you're saying all this, to the person watching, but what they take away from it is completely up to them, right? They could be in uni right now, exact same position you was a few years ago, but they might decide to be like, oh, you just got lucky. She got lucky.
The lucky comment.
Yeah. Your situation was different. You don't get it. My course is hard. Make excuses.
Your parents must have helped you. I get that a lot. I'm like,
yeah, exactly, right? But, I've said it before in, episodes, like, when you have an idea and you care about it enough and you just become obsessed, right? You will make it work. You won't listen to anyone. Like, you will do what you need to do. Like, obviously I understand everyone's situations are different. Some people have less time, circumstances are different, but you will make it work. Like, in COVID, I was doing all-nighters to get that YouTube, flow, because I didn't have a proper structure. It was the first time I'm doing it. So, I'll be writing a script at 12 a.m. Then I'll be recording the voiceover at 2 a.m. Then, the sun's come up, but I'm still recording. But that's when there's peace and quiet in the house. And I know that I can record, no one's going to walk in. And yeah, everyone used to look at me like, oh, what are you doing? Like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. When are you going to go to sleep? But I'm just so tunnel vision on what I want to do. And that's why I was able to grow, my channel to what it was and grow an audience. But yeah, I think it's all down to the individual. Yeah. If they want to make it work, they will, like you did. And am I right in saying you said you came from you live in an estate?
Yeah, so actually, I still do live in a council estate, to be honest. Okay. So I have both my parents. So I do have a dual income household. Yeah. And I must admit, there wasn't a massive pressure on me to work. My parents definitely would have supported me, but I've always been so self-driven. So if I give you a bit of background, I worked at Hamleys, the toy store, and literally my job was so ridiculous. I would be, you know, the people at the front of the store that have to like
Throwing the toys around.
Yes, that was me, and in the costumes, and I used to have to dress up as a bear sometimes. It was absolutely crazy. And then I become a nanny, and do you know what? The level of wealth I saw, coming from a small council estate, I must admit I was a bit small-minded. I was like, you know, this is all I can achieve. I'm just going to have to go to uni and work a 9 to 5, and this is just going to be my life, and I'm just going to have to accept it, to be honest. I'll probably buy a house one day if I'm really good with savings. But likelihood is, you know, it was looking bleak. That was my mindset. Yeah. Then I become a nanny for this family, and they're absolutely loaded. Like, I got to go on holidays with them and all sorts. And I saw a different side to life. And I thought, actually, okay, I might not be able to become a millionaire from beauty, but I would be able to create a lifestyle for myself that I would want. You know, like, I was working ridiculous hours. I was like, no, there must be a way around this. So obviously I saw the demand, I wanted to be my own boss and put them together. But I would say that I discovered late in my life that I have ADHD. So being productive for me is so hard. Most days I procrastinate so hard. So when, you know, we were talking about like some people either take the advice or not, I think that's really key. I read a book, I can't remember what it's called. I wish I could remember what it's called, but it's about consistency, and I'll never forget because it changed the way I thought.
Atomic Habits?
No, it's very similar. I'll remember it in a little bit. And it was just like, if you do a little bit every day, it adds up. And I remember, especially because I have ADHD, like I was trying to do everything at once. You know, when you're just like so overwhelmed with all the tasks, especially when you're in your own business, you have multiple different hats you're putting on every single day. You're like, okay, social media marketer, accountant. Well, you were fine because you were finance, but like accounting for me is just like, you know? And I was like, okay, if I just do a little bit every day. So I'll give an example. My accounts, they stress me out every year. I'm really bad at maths, but you have to know your figures. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do a little bit every day. I woke up every morning at 6 a.m. and just put, you know, your tax returns. I would just put in like, fill it out a little bit every day until it's complete for that year. Yeah. It made me so much more productive because I went from being like really overwhelmed to I've gone off. But essentially, I'm like completely gone off. That's ADHD in a nutshell.
So how did you get that job as a nanny? Because, you know, from Hamleys to, was that the next?
That's the secret. I can't tell. No. So I worked at Hamleys, and they done sleepovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do sleepovers.
Sleepovers?
Yeah, it costs like something ridiculous, like 12 grand, but they get to sleep over in the store.
Okay.
And this family were throwing a party. And at the end of it, they approached me and was like, listen, you're like great with kids. You're enthusiastic. Like, it was like 2 a.m. and you know, most people are dead by that point. But like you said, driven, you either have it in you or don't. So I was still up, still entertaining the kids. I was really patient. And they was like, we would love for you to nanny for us. At first I was like, you know,
yeah.
I was having real good fun where I was at. It was a real life lesson, and it was tough. It was not an easy job. Yeah. It wasn't. Yeah. And it taught me a lot. It made me really resilient because they're like high demand people. I was 17, like maybe 17, 18, you know, and they were expecting a lot from me. Yeah. But it taught me time management and things like that. Yeah. So. And
did you enjoy working at Hamleys or?
Yeah, I loved it. I still look back at it like.
What was your mindset when you was in Hamleys? Like, what was you thinking about? Like, this is my life now, or?
No, I think I knew. I'd always had it in me that I wanted to do something bigger. Yeah. So even when I was at Hamleys, like I was slowly climbing my way up. So I literally started as a outside floor dancer. I don't know what you call it, like a performing artist at the front in the silly costumes, and then eventually I became like a personal shopper, which was like better because you had to do less, you didn't have to dance around all the time. Yeah. And then I just kept on elevating. So naturally, I think it's in me to just want a bit more.
Right. Okay. And then, obviously, accepting the job as a nanny, did you leave Hamleys?
I did. I was sad about it. But I'm glad I did because it took me to another level. And then from there, I think it really gave me the drive to be my own boss. Because I saw like, I've gone from a small council estate to like, a massive house, like a mansion in Hampstead Heath, and I was like, I knew there was rich, but I didn't until you're in that lifestyle. Not that everything is perfect, but until you're in that lifestyle, I didn't realize that, there was so much more.
And was that like a wake up kind of, did that open your eyes and like, there's so much more like?
Yeah, essentially. I think, like I said beforehand, money is not the end goal for me. I think it taught me a lot of things like customer service, patience. Like, my customer service is incredible. Like, you can read my reviews online. And I know that sounds big-headed of me to say, but it's because I've learned the standards. They taught me that you can't be slacking. Like, these kids need to be the best of everything. So then I had to be on top form, like my time management, just conflict management, patience. They're all things that I now implement into my business. So although, I saw the money, I think it just taught me a lot of life skills. Like, I went from being like, honestly, like a little bit of an airhead, like, oh, life is fine, I'm only young, like there's no pressure, to being like, actually, you've got to be on top form now.
Yeah. But you know what it is, like you said, your money's not the end goal for you, but money probably comes because you don't focus solely on money. Because someone who's just focusing on money, they're not going to care about customer service. They're just going to see the person as more money, like a customer. They're not going to think, let me build a relationship with this person, give them a good first impression, because you prioritizing customer service is probably what's retaining your business, right? So these people are going to come back, they're going to be like, oh, she was so nice, like the service was amazing. That's another, repeat business for you. But you didn't go in with the mindset that I'm going to make this person come back because I want to make as much money as I can from them. And that's one thing I think people overlook a lot when they make a business. They don't think about how they're going to build relationships with people, but they're more focused on how do I make money? Why am I not making any money yet?
Do you know what? It's so frustrating sometimes because you do see those people online that are just sales tactics. I'm a person, I don't like being sold to. So if it happens naturally, like if we're having a conversation and you just slip in, oh, by the way, I do this business, I'm more than happy to support you. If I just feel like you are constantly pressuring me, I hate it. So I go forward with that in my business. My clients, for instance, today I had a cancellation, right? She was like, Rebekah, I'm really ill. Most people charge for that because you've technically, like, I can't fill that slot so last minute. However, I go with the mindset, it happens, because if I'm ever ill, they'll return the favour. And a lot of my clients have returned the favour if I've been ill because I never let them down. And I'm also lenient when they can't make it. And it's just simple things like that really elevate your business because they show you care for them as a person and not just as a business. But I think that's easier to say when we're small businesses. We're one-to-one. You have to have that level. Whereas if you're a larger business, obviously, they're just looking at figures by that point.
Yeah. And so how long have you been? It's 2019 since when you started.
2018, yeah, roughly.
So about, what's that, 6 years? And, on day one, when you started this business, what like the vision, are you still working towards it? Are you closer? What would you say, like, how's it going?
Do you know what? That's been a real personal struggle of mine, to be honest. I would probably say that it's something I'm still working towards, to be honest. When I started the business, I'll never forget my mum sat me down because I'd invested about £600, which was a lot of money for us, okay, because money's not disposable like that in my household. And she was like, Rebekah, like, is this another one of your hobbies? Like, you're not going to stick to this for
What was this for? 600?
It was for a course and then the equipment afterwards.
Okay.
And Mum was like, Rebekah, like, I had a bad habit of starting things and not finishing them. So she's like, Rebekah, like, is this going to be another hobby of yours? So I was like, okay, I have to actually really take this seriously. I forgot the question.
So you said you were just mentioning how your mum's invested 600 into this course at the time.
No, I invested.
You invested?
I invested. I literally saved my money and I invested. Right. My mum was worried I was just wasting my own.
Okay, right.
I invested. I saved up. I worked extra hours and I invested.
Yeah, no. So just around, obviously, when you started.
Oh yeah, the vision.
Yeah, the vision. Like when you spent that money, what was the vision? Like you know, in order for you to spend 600, you must have been like, this is what this course is going to get me.
I think I knew. Well, actually, no. When I invested the money originally, I knew that this would be something I would continue throughout uni. So I knew that for sure. But at the end, I was actually set on being a youth worker for rehabilitating youth offenders. So that was my end goal. Like I knew I was going to work with young offenders and try and rehabilitate them. That was my goal. So when I was doing my business, I think, and I say this to clients sometimes, I treat it as a hobby. Because I've got some clients from years ago and they're like, Rebekah, you've come so far. And I was like, yeah, but I kind of treated it as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until actually about 3 years ago, I realised the success I was getting and that I couldn't treat it like a hobby. Okay, for instance, a good example. When I got paid, I would use the money for just my lifestyle, okay? So I'd like just go out with friends. I'd be like, oh my God, great, I've earned extra money. Because I was at uni, right? And you have your funds and stuff. I was like, oh, this is just like extra money I'm earning. You know, actually, rather than seeing as no, like this is my business is income, this is the revenue, this is the profit. And then I've got an accountant and he really kicked me up the butt. He was like, Rebekah, you're earning money, but like, what are you doing with it? So if I earned 20 grand in that year, I would spend the 20 grand and I couldn't tell you what on because I don't buy designer goods. And I think it was a real harsh lesson for me because it's like, how are you buying your supplies? Like, you don't have any routine, you don't know your stock, you're just buying for the sake of buying. Like, take it seriously and you'll grow. So in my first year, I'll give you an example, I earned £12,000. In my second year, it was like £14,000. Third year, £16,000. And then my accountant got involved. 18,000. So it's not a lot because I was only doing part-time, like 3 days a week. And now this year, we're projected to bring in about £40,000. And that's just two of us, you know? So it's insane. It's grown so much. And I know that's someone's basic average salary, but when I get to go to the gym whenever I want, and I get to take a day off whenever I want, it's actually amazing to think about what you've grown. So my projections now would probably be to open a shop, which I was meant to do last year, and it just didn't work out. And that's business, right? Roller coaster. You'd understand, like you said, COVID came to a halt. It's roller coasters, peaks and troughs, right? So I would probably eventually like to open my own space so I can have a large space for the academy. But that's something that might change, you know? I might decide that I just want to be an online academy. I go with the flow, but always project. As long as you have the money behind you, you know, you have that profit margin, it's fine. You just learn as you go. Goals change.
Yeah, so, you know, like you're saying, you're doing, you know, these numbers now. But, you know, like going back to where we was, you know, talking about diversifying your platforms and this, that, the other. With me personally, I think what I done wrong is probably I diversified too much, which is where I started everything a little bit at a time, right? So now I've got this going, this bit's like growing, but yeah. And even like literally, I think it was last night, all the ideas come to me. And then I'm like, what do I do first? Right. And then on top of that, you know, you want to go gym, then you got to walk the dog, and it's like, you get a little bit, you know, you're just like, where do I start first? I need to fix this on the website. I need to upload a new video. I need to, you know, post this. But I feel like if I had been consistent on just my YouTube, it would have been making me a lot more money now. But I feel like something you learn through the journey.
Exactly.
Because I was making a video and then I'll wait a month or two to get that motivation back because it's a lot of effort.
So much effort.
But then again, there's so many people out there doing it daily. They're making videos daily, weekly. And you just think, like, where do they get this drive from? Because I'll make one video, then I'm like, I upload and I'm like, okay, just let's see what that does for the next 2 months. But if I was to make a strict schedule, like a weekly upload or a monthly, then you're obviously going to get more growth at a quicker rate.
Again, a little bit every day.
Yeah. And, you know, you said that you managed to, you know, make a schedule for yourself, time management. How did you go about that? How do you manage it now?
I'm such a stickler. Like, I get really stressed when my schedule doesn't go to plan, for instance. So I know no matter what I do with my day, especially now, so I hired a personal trainer, so I must go to the gym. Like, that is my priority amongst everything. So if that means I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to get to the gym, I will always start my day with that.
Are you a morning person?
Yeah, I'm a morning person.
Okay.
Are you a nighttime person?
Yeah, I'm an owl, so I guess that works in your favor.
But we can switch it around, for instance. So, like, you could do maybe nothing in the day. Like, even if you've got nothing done that day, as long as you know that your end goal, even if it's 10, 11 p.m., you're going to that gym, that's your schedule, you know, because that's that little bit of consistency I have every day that I hang on to. It doesn't matter what else goes wrong in my day. I know I can really, and especially in the business, de-stress in that gym. It's me time. No one's bothering you. I don't take a friend. You know, it's like, can I come and work out? No. Okay, because this is my time. I need to actually focus on me. So I will start off my day. I'll go gym. I'll make breakfast, and then I'll start my clients. And I have made sure, I used to like put my clients before everything else, and that's okay. But the busier you get, you can't do that. So I will now go to the gym, and I start my clients at 10 a.m. now. And I'll work later, and I sacrifice that because I said I'm not a night owl, so I will work till like 8, 9 p.m. And that's my sacrifice because I got that little piece of me in the morning. On a Monday, for instance, I now took it off. I used to work Mondays. I don't work Mondays anymore because how am I meant to get admin done? Social media, you need to have a dedicated time for that. So I used to work 6 days a week. When is my time for me, and when is my time for like other things I need to do in the business? Right? So it's just about prioritizing. Like you said, you can't do everything at once. So just do a little bit of something you love every day. So mine is gym.
No. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm just still working on it.
And it's fine, you know?
I feel like with me, it's like in the moment, like sitting here right now, I might just have a random idea and I'll just jump on that, all right? But then what happens there is there's no strict structure, all right? So then, you know, tonight, like last night, for example, I was like, I saw this new feature on YouTube where you can promote your products on your channel. And I was like, how do I link a website to that? So I started doing that, just randomly, just started working on it. Yeah, and I was just like, but with me, what I struggle with is switching off, because I'll be in the gym, right, in between sets, I'll pick my phone up and I'll just like, I'll see something and I'm like, oh, I need to do that. And then, you know, whatever it is, I'll be talking to someone. And instead of just having a normal conversation, I just get carried away. Like, we'll just be, let's say we're at a dinner or we're having drinks. And you're like, oh yeah, so, you know, I was looking at this thing, and I'll just be like, did you know you can do this? And then it gets annoying sometimes for other people. And then I realize that I'm losing the person. Like they're not interested. Like, just, you know, forget that. But yeah, time management wise, I've tried with calendars. Like, I'll allocate times. I'll be like, this in the morning, I'll do this. Then I'll allocate an hour to that. But it just, you know, overruns, and then I'm like, okay, let's take this one out for today.
You're going to love your notes app, okay? I have a calendar, obviously, because I have clients, so I need to schedule it. Your notes app, for a Monday, on that Sunday night, especially for like me, brain dump everything into your notes and then prioritize. So I'm quite strict with my times. Like, if I know I have 2 hours in the gym, I know 2 hours is quite extreme.
Quite long, yeah.
I know, I've got to do cardio and everything. But so like 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. strictly gym. Be reasonable. You need to give yourself half an hour to get home, or half an hour to get a shower. Like, most people put like 10 till 12 gym, 12 to something. Where's the time to actually have food, or like, you know, accommodate for travel? Be realistic. So you have to prioritize. But what I would say is, if you do run over time on something, don't worry. Like, I think in a business as well, like you said, you'll have this random brain idea and start on it, write it down, come back to it. I know it's so hard because you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. You need to write it down and come back to it, because that idea might not even be good in a week. It was just that you had an idea. You know? Yeah,
no, you're saying that, like, my notes app, if I could show you, but we're using it to record, it's just full of notes, like so many ideas, more than I can actually. The thing is, all the ideas are there.
But are you implementing any?
This is the thing, like, now it's time, like with my YouTube now, I've got like a whole list of video ideas, but am I making any? No, right? I've got all the, because what happens is, like I said to you, I'm a bit of a night owl, so I'll be laying in bed at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and I'm like, you know, I should make this video, and I'll put it in my notes. But by the morning, that motivation now has gone because it was just in a burst. That's another thing, because motivation is like temporary, like in the moment. To like have that, carry that on consistently, that's the real struggle, I think.
Maybe you have that idea and then just make the video, start it.
That's the thing. Like, that's the most ideal thing to do.
Yeah, but it's 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. You're not going to get out of bed and go downstairs, set on cameras, and it's just not going to happen. But
My mum would tell me to go back to bed. She would be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get up.
But like I said, I think it's finding that workflow, like the correct kind of.
But what do you do in your day?
Well, it'll be work, and then straight after work, I'll go gym. Then I have to walk the dog.
The dog is like 10 minutes high. I have a dog.
Yeah, but it feels like it takes up such a. It feels like
It's another chore, yeah.
And then once that's done, I come back, have dinner, and now it's probably what 7, 8, and now you're kind of like you just had food. You're feeling a bit slower. Then you need to shower because you just went to the gym. You get out of the shower, now it's like 8, 9, and like then you're like, I'll just start tomorrow.
But you know what I'm hearing? I'm hearing excuses.
Yeah, it's true.
Like a client, seriously, she sat me down the other day. Mm-hmm. She has a successful tech business, and you know what? She said to me, Rebekah, like extraordinary people are extraordinary for a reason.
Yeah.
You have to do the extra. She's like, I don't want to hear your excuse because I was like, I don't have time. Mm-hmm. I'm so busy, but I have clients. She's like, you're 8 to 9. You said you're a night owl, so like 9 p.m. to like 1 a.m. is normal for you. Yeah. I know you don't want to, but like you could even drop your job eventually if you just you was a bit more consistent with your things. Yeah. I know it's easier said than done. I'm so biased because I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I just rot in bed for all day and then I have to catch up later. Yeah. But yeah, it is like it's hard. I think it's unrealistic to say it's not hard. It is hard.
Yeah.
But that's where habits come in.
Yeah, it's true. And like I said, depending on the person, like myself, like I hold myself to such a high level that I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
So I could make the best video ever and it's got loads of views, but I'll be like, that's not good enough. Like I need to make another one. But that's another thing, I struggle with. I'll complete so many tasks, but I feel like I didn't do anything today. Yes. Right? But it's good and bad because you get a lot done, but then you never really, feel good about it, if that makes sense. Yeah. But, how are you with that in terms of, so say do you ever get that imposter syndrome?
All the time. Like, I constantly think as well sometimes with my business, I'm like, okay, well, what if I actually did try my degree? Or what if this failed and I actually had to go back into my degree, but everyone's so ahead of me now because I've essentially wasted, which I haven't, 5-6 years on my business when I could have been getting experience elsewhere. And it's just that little annoying voice in your head. It's not real. Like it's, if you fail, you start again. I don't know. Like I'm 24. So for me, like if I fail and start again, I could go and get a whole medical degree and I'd still have time. You know what I mean? Yep. Anyone can start again. Like I had people on my university course who were like 40 and they'd started again. So I think, that imposter syndrome just needs to shut up. You just need to push it away because you're doing really well. Yeah. But I think the way I come around it is I write a rewards list. So I'm very self-motivated because I like buying nice things. So I will, for instance, on my list right now, I'm like, okay, my AirPods are like, they're really on their last leg. So I'm like, if I hit this goal, I buy myself some AirPods. Because then it's just little, or it can be so stupid. Like I done a talk for the old beauty college that I went to, and that was my first ever talk. So I went into Costa and I literally brought a cup, because it's something that I wouldn't have been able to do when I was younger, just like buy a £10 random Costa cup, But I did because it would then remind me of the achievement I made that day. Yep. It makes you feel so much better than just like, if you let the moment pass, you're like, okay, I've done it now, it's fine. But if you have something to remind you every day of what you've achieved, it will feel better.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, like I started noting down everything I do in a day because like I keep a diary now like for days. So I'll put tasks in there and then I'll tick them off as they're done. Yeah. And that will give me that little bit of, okay, you've ticked off. Like then I look back at it at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I've done 10 tasks today. Otherwise I'll do 10 tasks, but at the end of the day, I'll be like, what did I do today? Did I even, work or did I make any progress? But having it on paper is where you start, like you said, you reward yourself. That's another good way to do it because a lot of people will forget to enjoy the moments, if it's the money, because they're just so busy trying to just chase the next kind of win.
That's like a massive thing. I would say that like I was earning all this money, right? But I was scared to spend it eventually, right? And it was also like, okay, why am I working so hard and not actually treat myself? Like I never saw friends anymore. I completely isolated myself. I'd never go out. I was just literally working all the time because I was like, okay, if I don't keep on working, my business is going to fail. It's going to fail. And now I go out and meet friends, which I still find really hard sometimes because I'm like, oh, I could have fitted a client in. You know, I could have been making money. You know, I could have been doing. But if you don't stop and like actually make time for things around you, it's just so isolating.
And what were your friends like like how was so say if you're like, sorry, I can't go out tonight, or sorry, I'm doing this business, or you talk about your business when they're like, what's new? And you're like, oh, so, well, would you? If like, say someone's like, what's up? Like, what'd you do last weekend? And you know what you done last weekend. You just had the biggest day in sales or something. Do you ever mention it, or do you just keep quiet? No, it's just quiet.
I think when I'm a quite private person anyways, to be honest. So I don't share many successes because I see it as showing off.
Yep.
Especially when you're from council estate and you end up doing really well, you don't want to rub it in your friends' faces.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? So also I would say when I started my business, it wasn't my friends that supported me. I have a really amazing friend from uni and she like literally will travel from Chiswick to come to me. And she's amazing, but she's a rarity. A lot of your friends don't support your business and don't expect them to because they're not your target audience. Like if you're just selling to your friends, then sorry, that's not your target audience. Like they're not going to support you. Only really good friends do, but they don't, and a lot of people will see it as you're showing off. Like I've got friends that don't even like my post anymore. And I'm like, guys, for real? Like, so yeah, I don't rub it in people's face. I think now I do all the talks and stuff. I do post a bit more, but I still find it quite nerve-wracking to be judged by the people that actually know me. Yeah. In a sense, you know?
No, the reason I brought it up is because my circle, I would overshare. I would, because I thought they're my friends. Like, like, Jay, what did you, get up to? Oh, I actually started this business. I started making YouTube videos. But you know what it's like I'm 24 as well. All right. So if you said that to your friend, like, oh, I made a YouTube video, they'll laugh at you. Like, you think you're going to become a YouTuber and become famous. And that's what I was getting. Right. And I realized, okay, I don't need to share everything clearly because just a lot of hate. And, honestly, I don't talk to a lot of my friends anymore from school because I wouldn't go out all the time for drinks because they want to drink every Friday night. And if I did go out, they'll be like, oh, so how's that business going?
How's that business?
How's that, you still trying to make videos or you still think that's going to work? And that's when I realized that, like, you're meant to be my friends. So, and like a good point to make is on Instagram, when we have a business idea, we think, let's post it on our personal page. But that's not your audience.
It's not your audience.
Your friends might like it, but that's not giving you good numbers.
They're not who's buying from you.
Exactly. And the other thing you'll have is just hate because people will be jealous or like, oh, why is she starting a business? Or like, but that's when I realized, let me make a different page and this will be dedicated to people who genuinely like what I'm putting out there.
This is my niche. This is my target audience.
Yeah. And I just completely ghosted that, sharing my personal life because I've done it for a while because I thought, but that's like the maturity you kind of learn. Like, why am I sharing? I was sharing like, I'm doing this today with my business. I'm making this video, but then I was like, why am I sharing it with people who don't care?
They don't care.
Let me share it with people like my audience that were actually going to support it. And that's when I completely made a different Instagram account.
Honestly, I think that's something people really need to realize that like having a business is quite lonely. And I've really spoken about this on my page recently. I've shared it with clients and stuff. I think especially our age is like quite rare to own your own business as well. Yeah. So I get a lot of compliments, like especially my clients, bless them, they're honestly my biggest supporters. They're like, oh my God, you're doing so well for your age and stuff like this. But it's not my friends telling me that. You know, it's not my friends telling me that. Actually, some of them, I must admit, like some people that I went to uni with that are not necessarily my friends, but they still come to get lashes and they still support me. They're like, you know what, like you've come such a long way, but they're the people that are not the closest to you, so they don't feel that that tension with it. I think it's quite sad though. I think we need to change it because it's really isolating. It's not like, I guess we don't have, I don't know, I don't have colleagues. I have 2 contractors who I do love and they're essentially colleagues. But I don't, you know, when you work in an office and you get that camaraderie, like I don't have that. So I think a network is really important, otherwise you become so isolated. I think we need to realise as well that we do isolate ourselves from friends a bit. You know, we don't want to go out all the time because we're so tired. But it's having friends that understand that.
But there's very few people who will. Because coming back to the point of you either have it or you don't. Like with me, like I said, I still to this day like sit in a group like with my friends, and you know I want to talk about like not that I just want to talk about business, but what I'm saying is I want to talk about forward kind of thinking conversations. But I found that it's just always either talk about other people or talk about, you know, like a YouTuber, or talk about, you know, it's just random stuff, and or you know games for guys, like, you know, but that's why they say it's so important to have a good circle, because if you have a circle of, you know, 5-10 people who are all business minded, everyone's going to help each other out. No one's going to
as good as like is it the people around you? You're only as good as the people around you,
because you're not going in that circle, you're not going to have people putting you down. It's going to be people who either see you be successful and like, how did you do that?
Or understand it as well.
Or it's going to be someone who's more successful than you, then you can learn from them. But again, like you can't change people. You can only do your own thing. That's when, if it has to be lonely, like you need to isolate yourself from that circle. It's not the end of the world. What, you lose a few friends, but you're going to gain a lot more in the future, in the long term. And that, you know, I've seen that, because not everyone's going to support you. Even your own family might not, because they can't see it. They don't have that same vision that you have in your head.
Family are the most difficult to do business with, honestly.
Until they see results, they're not with you. But
they're they're your most fussy customers as well, by the way, because they expect you to do more for them.
Yeah, that with me, like I'll be making content, staying up, like I said, all nighters, you know, recording videos, whatever it was. And they wouldn't see what I'm doing. They would look at me like, why are you waking up so late? You know, you stay up till late, go to sleep on time. But I'm like, I'm working on something. Like, I can't explain it to you exactly because you won't get the technicals of it. But, you know, there's an end goal here.
Honestly, like my dad's the funniest, to be honest. So my dad probably still thinks this is my hobby, because I still live at home. So I think he still thinks this is my hobby. So my mum knows the tricks and she sees my finances. She helps me with stuff. You know, she's seen it grow. So my mum's complete mindset is like, wow, my daughter like owns a business now. My dad will tell all of his friends, oh, my daughter owns a business. She's so successful. My dad doesn't know what I do. He literally just like, he saw me at home the other day and it was my day off. It was Monday. My dad doesn't know my schedule. He's like, are you not busy? Like, do you not have any clients? Like, is business okay? Like, sort of thing. And it was quite sweet, but like, he has no idea. Like, I don't think he understands the true success that I've managed to hit with my business, because to him, like, this is still kind of like my hobby. He's like, oh, like sometimes he'll be like, oh, do you not want to go into your degree? And I'm like, Dad, I don't have time to go into anything I originally studied for. But it's so funny because, like you said, although I live with the man 24/7, he has no idea what's going on.
I don't know about you, but like in the early days when there's not so much success, and they might, you know, your mom, your dad might come to you like, how's that business going? Is it making money now? Like, but you know it's not, and you're just there like, oh, like, guys, like it's. I'm working on it, but you know, you don't mean it in a bad way, or they don't mean it in a bad way, but it just comes across like, because
I think they care as well. Like for them as well, they grew up in a generation where you have to make money. Like my parents had my brother really young as well, so they were quite young parents. Like they just had to provide. You know, that's all they focus on: get a job, provide, like keep a roof over our heads. Our generation is so much more flexible because it's unattainable to be like, you know, we can't buy a house. We're not expected to have kids young. So I think they don't understand as well that they've given us more freedom. So we're so grateful for it. But, you know, like it's not as, we don't have the expectations that they did. I think we're allowed to fail a bit more as well.
I think what they're exposed to in terms of, maybe their social media, their friend groups and their generation, they don't have those kind of same conversations. They don't know what's like achievable now.
Yes.
Like, a simple thing, like I was telling my dad, like there's this kid who plays PS5, he plays these games and he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
All he does is record himself playing. And he just looks at me like, what are you on about? Like they just don't understand it.
It's like, that's not a job.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like even now, when on my downtime, you could say it's like this is me not switching off. But even when on my downtime on like a Saturday night, all the boys jump on PS5. Yeah. But in my head, it's like, what content can I get from this that I can upload to my gaming channel? Because I'm doing this anyway, right? So why don't
might as well utilize it?
Exactly, right. Even with that, like I mentioned to my friends I've started that, they'll be like, oh, this guy, like, just hate. But it's like you can do it as well.
Why don't we do it together even?
Yeah, if you could do it, you would do it. But because you can't, you're just hating. Like, what's the point of that? But yeah, no. Back to the point of like content that you're exposed to. Like your algorithm now, you'll probably see a lot of it's eyelashes and like all that kind of stuff, right? I'm not going to see that on my page, but that's going to be useful to you because you're going to get inspiration. You're gonna see someone who's like a business 10 times bigger.
Do you know what though? I do the opposite.
Okay.
I find because you're like similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
I put so much pressure on myself already.
Mm-hmm.
I used to look up to a lot of lash artists, and I used to like, oh my god, I wish my sets looked like that, or I wish my business was like this. Oh, she's like 18, but she's got a salon. I've stopped because I'm adding extra pressure onto myself, and that girl might have had rich parents who helped her. And I'm not saying she didn't work hard, but there was, a higher level, like she could financially afford to do that. You know what I mean? Or she had probably more help than I had. Or do you know what? Even she might have lived in a more affluent area and could be able to charge more. Mm-hmm. So comparing ourselves, that comparison is to fee for joy. And I truly believe in that.
I think how I go about it, one of the like most motivational things for me is, on YouTube you can click oldest video on someone's page.
See where they started.
And that's what I do, right? I look at these massive influencers that I watch on a daily basis, and I'm like, oh, like they've made it. Like they get this new car, they've got these, fancy cameras, tech, whatever it is. But then I look at the old video and where they started, like 10 years, 15 years.
Grainy and...
Yeah. So what I do is I take 10 years off my life. I say, what was I doing 10 years ago? Right? They decided to start working then. I've started 10 years later.
Have you seen that meme that's going around online? And it's like, what I should have been doing. But it's like a picture of them as a child, yeah. And it was like, when I should have been doing my finance, but it was them like 10 years ago. Because like, we're still in that, like everyone, it requires experience, but we're so young. Like, how are we meant to get it? You know?
I think there's another one where it's like, I should have been buying a house when I was in...
Like 10 or something. And it's like a picture of them as a kid when I should have been buying a house.
Yeah, I've seen those ones. But yeah, no, like what I'd say is I don't know where I heard it or who said it, but there was like, don't just consume, but create. Because a lot of people just, spend their whole day on TikTok watching, 2 hours. It's so easy, just like time to go past, but you'll never think, let me make videos as well. People watch these massive YouTubers, but they don't think, how can I start that? Right? Like I said, looking at the oldest video, you realize that these people just started from nothing. But yeah, like the content I consume is tailored around things that are going to be like beneficial. So like if I watch gym influencers, I'm going to come across a video and it's going to remind me, you need to go gym. They're going to help you with your nutrition. If it's like tech related, like I enjoy watching tech, lifestyle, whatever it is. And then it reminds you, like, that's where I get my inspiration from. These guys have like 10K cameras. I have an iPhone. But you just try to mimic it as much as you can. And that's literally what I've done. And that's enabled me to kind of have the success that I have, right?
And I think, this is the good thing about social media. It doesn't matter if you're filming on the camera or you're filming on an iPhone.
Yeah.
As long as you're getting that content out there, someone's going to see it.
But the thing is, a lot of people will be like, oh, I don't have a professional camera to start.
Yeah,
I don't.
Excuses.
Exactly, right? But just start with whatever you have, and
Someone starts somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere.
exactly, and then along the way you can upgrade everything. Like I said, like
I literally started, or you would laugh, like my bed was like secondhand, and I didn't even have a ring light. I'd have to rely on literally like my living room light. My dog was yapping. Yeah, like clients would actually have to come into my living room. And now when people see what I've got, like, you know, I've got multiple beds and they're the latest ring lights. And, you know, I put a post up the other day that I brought an iPhone. I think we spoke about this earlier as well off camera. And I was like, you know, my phone broke and I felt so extremely lucky to like buy the latest iPhone because when I was younger, like my phones were either secondhand or I'd have to wait. I would have to wait. Like if my phone broke, I was using an old phone. So for me to buy that new phone now was like, and so I originally posted on a story, I was like, phone broke this morning, please bear with me replies. And then the next story, I had like a brand new iPhone, right? And I was like, well, let me actually show the reality of this. And I went back and I showed people that, yeah, I managed to buy the new iPhone, but like I gave a bit of backstory about how I grew up. And I know it sounds weird to post it on, you know, a Lash page, but a lot of my clients follow me because they know me personally. They've been with me years. I very rarely get a new client. So they know how I've grown. And I want to set realistic expectations for people our age. You know, I don't want them to think, okay, she does so well, she can just go and buy an iPhone.
Yeah.
I started with literally like...
I feel like people support you more when they know your story.
Yes.
If they just, if someone comes across your thing now, like now speaking to you, I understand your background. But before I might think, oh, she's probably, you know, rich parents, or, you know, she got lucky, or, you know, whatever it is. But when you hear the story, you're like, okay, now I want to support a business because I understand she's worked hard for it. And that's like important. There's another point I was going to make. There was, so again, I don't know who said it or where I read it, but there's like a saying that it's like, look for your unfair advantage when starting a business. If you don't know where to start, look or like, you know, obviously these days like social media is the place to start and grow your audience before you then sell them a product. But yeah, like I heard someone say, find your unfair advantage and then use that. Like I said, my unfair advantage was I had an iPad Pro. Not everyone has one. A lot of people do have one, but not everyone has one. So then when I started sharing content on how to use it, how I use it, people are interested because they were like, oh, you know, if I was to buy it, how will it work? And people are, you know, and the term influencer gets used a lot. And, you know, it's a bit of a weird term. But people in my comment section are literally asking me, which one should I buy? Should I buy this one? Should I buy that one?
Because you're literally influencing their choices.
So when people are called influencers, it's a real thing. Like if I tell people are literally saying, should I buy this one or that? What do you recommend?
Buy like an £800, £900 purchase due to your recommendation.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's crazy to me. Like when they ask me, should I buy this or should I save for that? And I feel like I always add at the end, I'll give my opinion, but at the end it's like the rest is up to you, or the rest depends on your circumstance. Or,
on your circumstances, big emphasis on that.
Yeah, and I'll be like, if you have the open budget, go for this. If you a little bit more tight on the budget, go for that.
I like that.
I never just go buy this or, you know, check my link or, you know, there's a lot of that stuff.
I mean, you could, right? You
could.
In that age where you could.
Yeah.
But that means you're a good person. They're going to trust your honest reviews. Like I said beforehand, if you're constantly just trying to sell someone something, that trust is going to break because you're going to sell them something one day that there was no use to them. They don't trust you anymore. They don't follow you no more.
Yeah, no, it's crazy things. Like after making the number of tech videos I did, I'm hiding behind the camera. There's someone who's commented like, Jay, like we don't, you know, your videos are so cool, but I want to see more about your life. I want to see what you get up to. And I'm like thinking, why do you want to see what I'm doing? Like, who am I that?
Because people want to know who's behind that camera. They want to get to know you. Like, and that will build trust on your channel more, to be honest. Because if you put yourself out there, this is my experience, this is what I have, what I do, they feel like they know you and you build that rapport. I know it sounds silly because you're behind the screen.
Yeah.
But like we're talking to each other face to face. You wouldn't meet an influencer online, you wouldn't meet a celeb, but you still feel like you know them.
Yeah.
You know? And it's the same with our businesses. They feel like they know you, they trust you.
No.
You know?
Yeah, it's like even with your business now, like social media allows you to show people what you get up to. You know, they know who you are, right? Who they're going to be buying from, who's going to be, doing my eyelashes. Like, what does she get up to? Like, does she just promote this, you know, does she actually care about looking good, or like, is it just for the business? And then when she's off camera, she doesn't really care about how she presents herself. And they get a better idea of that, right? And that's all personal brand. Like, the more
Personal brand.
exactly, like people think like they'll make a product, but then they'll be dressed sloppy and they'll just be like, here, this is my product. But it's all about, if you've got that energy, people are going to come up to you and be like, yeah, I'll buy that product. What do you know about the product? The more knowledgeable you are, they're going to be like, okay, she knows her stuff. She knows what she's talking about. She knows how long these are going to last, how to look after them, what materials and, what quality is.
I take people along on my courses too. I'm like, hey, look at what I'm learning, because I'm learning for your benefit. I'm learning so I can create better treatments for you. Even today, like I took a little behind the scenes of like me coming here. Oh wow, people actually want to hear what she says. She must be trustworthy. She must be good at her business. And it's little things like that just add to your credentials. I actually have a little highlight on our Instagram page that's like behind the scenes. I mean, it could just be me making bed, but people see the effort I'm putting in every single day, and that makes them want to trust me and want to come.
Yeah. And I think it opens up like a lot of opportunities as well, because the world we're in,
They see you're in demand. They want you.
that's it. You might have a random makeup brand reach out to you. They like what your lifestyle's about. A random product, they'll just be like, can you help us promote this?
But you need to build a community. They always approach people that have a community. Like I have a community of like absolute boss babes who obviously come to me, but I've built that community. I'm like, yeah, here are my clients. We all have this in common. We're all like, they're not all, obviously all very similar, but like we have common interests, and like that's a community. Like or one thing is, I have a friend who's an influencer, and they have a community. They actually built that community, and so brands literally pull them left, right and centre, because they know that their audience is engaged with them. If your audience isn't engaged, you could have 100,000 followers, but if you're only getting 12 likes, no one's going to want you to promote their products, because you don't have that engagement. You don't have an audience.
Yeah, I mean, with my YouTube now, like out of nowhere, a brand reached out to me, my first email, and it was like, we want to send you this phone case for the new iPhone. I'm like, cool. I'm like, again, I'm like putting myself down. It's just a small brand. Like, this ain't.
No, it's a start.
It's free. Like, a brand's trusting you, and then
another big brand could see that, and you could have picked up really good engagement on that. It keeps the ball rolling.
It legit, like, from that was my eye opener. I was like, oh, like, this is what I can achieve, right? I don't have.
Again, you don't need to be a massive, like, I'm talking from experience, you don't need to have 100k followers or a million, whatever it is. You can be small.
Yes.
It depends on your content, the quality of it, if it aligns with the brand. Like, I've had so many brands reach out to me. Obviously, there was like a phase where there was loads of campaigns going on, but then it kind of slowed down and they started pulling it back. Like, they were just giving too much away. But at the time, like, I got sent a product and I'd never heard of it before. Then I went to the Apple store and I was just browsing the shelves, and I saw the product I got sent for free to review by a company on the shelf in an Apple store.
See?
And it was like priced at like £180 for
you never know, right?
And I'm like I'm doing something right here. Like, that's crazy. Like,
yeah, of course, it's motivating.
Yeah, and then my dad was like to the employee there, my son makes videos, he gets sent free stuff.
Oh.
And I was like.
Yeah, but he's showing he's proud.
Yeah.
Like we said beforehand, our parents are like, "Oh, how's that business going?" But that moment there showed you actually he's quite proud. He was bragging. He was like, "Yeah,
There was another day where, this is when we had the business in COVID. My dad needed to upgrade his computer, so he went into the store and brought a new computer. And I was like double-minded. I was like, should I pick up a new laptop? Because I knew that I needed to upgrade and had money for the business. But what happened was, the guy gave us the new computer, and my dad was like, okay, we're ready to go, right, it's paid. And I was like to the guy, could I get another MacBook as well? And my dad looked at me like, "What is he doing? Like, I'm not paying for another. I'm not going to buy him a laptop, but I was going to buy it for myself." And when I paid for myself, he was like,
Oh, wow.
like, "What the hell? Like, how,
How did you
me to
manage
send you
that?
some money?"
Yeah.
Or like, I was like, "No, like, I work for the business money." He's like, "Well,
Right?
like, those are the moments where you're like, this is, that's what you do it for, like those
It's
moments.
true.
But yeah, like I said, like, I was so used to downplaying like your achievements that when my dad said that to him, he said it out of like proudness, but I'm there like, "Dad, like, I don't like to brag," and
Yeah.
And then the guy was like, "Oh, really? Like, can I see your page?" And he was like,
See?
"Well, I really liked it." He was like, "I'll follow you," just like that.
And it's just word of mouth, it rolls.
Mhm.
I've got a similar story. I was in Apple the other day buying my iPhone, and there was a lady opposite me, honestly, like she looked like she was having the worst day, and so I literally just went, it sounds so pathetic, but I leaned over and I was like, "I really love your eyelashes, they're so long," At first she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, thanks." I was like, "Yeah, like you look really great with a lash lift, like they're so long," and we started talking. I gained a new client, only because one, I was just actually complimenting her. That was not my aim. It was in Battersea, okay? We're in London Bridge. I know they're not far, but, it wasn't a local client. But it was the fact that, and then the sales executive came over and was talking. She's like, "Oh my God, like I get a lash lift. Where are you based?" And it rolls, So like parents are old school. They're so used to word of mouth, they're really good at it. They'll tell everyone and everyone about your business. We need to be like that. I think we get embarrassed.
Yeah.
Also the stigma around, you were saying how like you just make YouTube videos. Okay, well, technically I'm just a lash artist. But when you turn that around and then that people actually see my business and I'm not just a lash artist, that stigma starts to like fade away. Actually, no, I'm a business owner, okay? I'm a content creator. I do eyelashes. I have a degree. We're like onions. We have multiple layers.
Yeah. And I think the point you just said there, right, like the way you present it, like you can, if someone asks what do, you can be like, "I just do like eyelashes."
Yeah.
Or you can
I just make videos.
Yeah, or you can be like, "I run an academy, I run..."
You can boost yourself.
Yeah.
But that has to come with confidence.
Yeah, like I think another video again, like I saw, it was like you can say you work at McDonald's, or you can say I work for $1 billion company where I help contribute to their success. Now everyone,
now everyone's interested.
Does that sound right? I work at McDonald's. But yeah, it's just like personal brand, how you are, your mindset, how you come across. It's so important. So just mindful of time.
It's fine.
Obviously, you was part of Trampoline's cohort.
Yes.
Before I was around a long time. Because I've only been here a few months.
Okay.
But how would you say that experience was, and how did it contribute to? Because obviously, when was you part of the cohort?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And where was you in terms of your business, and then why did you decide to join Trampoline, and how did it help?
I decided to join Trampoline because I heard that they were giving business advice. Right. And I was like, okay, like I told you, I wasn't taking my business very seriously. It was like a hobby. And I was like, okay, I need to take this seriously. Like I actually am fully booked. I'm earning really good money, but I don't know how to deal with money, and I don't know how to reinvest it or to help it grow. I think I was just at a midpoint where it's like, I'm fully booked, but like, is that it? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have enough time to fit all these clients in. Like, how can I grow? So then a Trampoline came along and it was really good. And they gave me a business coach. Yeah. And her name was Bina. I got a shout out Bina because she was great. And you know how we said we try and do everything at once? Mm-hmm. She helped me break down those things. I was like, okay, I'm really fully booked. And being in my industry, when you're fully booked, it's like an amazing thing. It's like, wow, she's fully booked. But actually, being fully booked means you don't have time for anything else. Mm-hmm. So she said to me, okay, let's split up this time. And why don't you employ someone? I was like, I don't want to employ anyone because that means that I have to deal with even more accounting things, and that's not my strong suit. She said, okay, get a contractor. So I can remain self-employed and then I can have a contractor. That worked perfectly. I actually really increased my revenue once I got a contractor, because now I could take some of my clients, pass them over to them if they wanted to go, obviously. And now I had more time to do other things, so that's where I could build my academy. So Trampoline came in, and I did get funding as well, which was really great. But the main thing I learned from it was actually how to break down my goals. Right. And how to dedicate my time. So they were really good. They came in, and although I had an existing business, I think they mainly focus on startups, but I had an existing business and how to grow that business from there. And they did help with that.
And what program was you part of? Is it the Southwark?
Yeah, Southwark Pioneers Fund.
Pioneers.
Yeah.
and obviously that allowed you to get that funding, which you was then able to use to grow your business. Is that right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you're a perfect example of what can be achieved. Through obviously trampoline just helped you. If they weren't, you're at the end of the day.
Sometimes you need the little bit of help. You need that push, that shove to do the scary stuff. For me, like employing someone was scary. Having a contractor is scary. And I actually. I learned a bit later on in the line, like how to deal with contractors, and I've had to have conflict management and stuff like that because I was such a control freak. And it's just having that help to like, okay, no, it's fine. Like, you go on, you can do it. Like, this is the next steps, and just having that shove. Because sometimes we are our own enemy with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it just goes like, with me personally, like, I'm sometimes a bit of a, I don't want to say control freak, but I like to do everything myself.
Yeah.
Like,
if
someone said to me, like, why don't you hire someone to help you make your videos? Like, they're not going to understand.
Yeah, they don't get my vision.
Yeah, but like you explained, like working with Trampoline, having a mentor allowed you to get these ideas that you might have not seen by yourself. You might have ignored.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need someone else to tell you something for it to make sense. When you hear it from someone, it sounds more, clear than what it does in your head. Like sometimes people just need to just accept that you can't do it all by yourself. I'm talking to Claudine as well. She mentioned that, if you try doing everything yourself, you're not going to get far because you'll get to a point where you just start to struggle.
You do.
And, if there's people willing to help you,
Take
there's
the help.
free support,
Take it.
That's the emphasis here. Like, there's no excuse. It's not like I can't afford a mentor.
And don't be ashamed to take that help either. Like, I think sometimes we do try to manage everything ourselves, and we don't want to ask for help. But like, there's people out there that know a lot more than you do, or have been there and done it, and can give you that advice.
Exactly. Like, you could have, like, it always comes back to that same point that we've been saying. It depends on the individual. Like, you could have looked at how did you come across trampoline?
Yeah, that's a good question. My mum actually works for Southwark.
Okay.
And she was always on the lookout for like things. She would always tell me, right? But I was a bit of a know-it-all, I'd say. So she'd send me all these schemes. I'd be like, yeah, mum, whatever. Because I was busy and I was overworked and I didn't have time to look into them. Or sometimes they require bits of your time and I didn't have time to give, what I thought I didn't have time to give. And then this one caught my eye simply because of the business mentor and the accounting understanding and all the masterclasses and the fact it was online. I think that was really, really key for me, that it was online. So then because the fact it was online, it just enabled me to be like, okay, it's just an hour of my day. I can do it from the lash room. And that was perfect for me. So yeah, my mum kind of done it and then I done a bit more research and got the ball rolling from there.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Like I said, you then obviously once you found out about it, you could have said,
and I did for a little while. I put the brakes on. I was like, oh no, I was making all the excuses. I'm too busy. Oh, it's not going to benefit me.
Yeah.
I was just making so many excuses. And then I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I signed up. Can you imagine? It was just a split decision. And I was so late to the cohort. I think I was like one of the last entries as well. And I was so grateful they took me on. But like, yeah.
No,
imagine if I hadn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just you deciding that I'm going to take this step. Maybe you came away with a lot of information. Maybe you didn't. But it still, plays a role in your story, in your success and business.
What did I have to lose? I think that's what my thing was. I either take something for it or I don't.
Yeah.
But I think you always learn something, or it at least reminds you of something. I go to a lot of events in my industry and they're quite repetitive, to be honest. The same speakers, same things. But sometimes something I'd forgotten or maybe learnt 2 years ago comes back up and I'm like,
Once you hear it, you're like, oh, I knew that.
Yeah, I knew that, but like I wasn't doing it, so maybe I should start doing it.
No. Yeah, like you said, taking that step has allowed you to be where you are now. Now you're projecting these numbers that you just mentioned. And there's nothing to lose really from a program that's going to obviously be free as well.
Yeah.
So, I think we're at the end of the podcast.
No
Just to
worries.
finish out, we'd just like to ask a few questions,
Yeah, sure.
quick fire questions, like we
Oh,
call them.
go.
I'm going to try to remember them. Usually I can read them off my phone. So, first question.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
A little bit every day goes a long way. A little bit of work every day goes a long way.
That comes back to the consistency.
Consistency.
Something I need to learn to do with my videos. Yeah. Next one.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see your business in 5 years?
Where do I see my business in 5 years? I would like to say I'm a fully fledged academy, and that I've actually taken myself out of being a physical lash artist and able to really focus on the students.
A shop?
Maybe. We'll see about that one. Inflation.
Yeah, that's true. Keep your expenses low, right?
Yeah.
And then the last one. What is your favourite part of running a business?
The freedom. I get to do pretty much. Not pretty much. You have to have a schedule, obviously. I'm dealing with clients. But the freedom of the fact that if I needed to take 3 weeks off, although I don't get paid for it, I still can, and I don't have to ask anyone.
Yeah.
I don't feel trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the big thing is accountability. Like, it's all on you.
It is all on me. And like I said, I don't get paid. When I take 3 weeks holiday, I don't get paid. So I obviously have to account for that.
Yeah.
But I've thought about getting a lecturer job as a beauty lecturer beforehand. And then I can only take time off in the school holidays.
Mm-hmm.
That's expensive, okay? I want to go when I want to go. And that business allows me that freedom.
That's what a lot of people want, is that freedom.
Yeah. But I've never been an office girly. I never pictured myself being in an office. I knew that for sure. No matter what I was going to do, it was not going to be in an office.
Yeah.
So
as much as freedom, there's a lot of work that goes on.
I agree.
That goes hand in hand. That's the end of the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for coming today. I think that was a great conversation.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I don't think we knew where we was going to go with this.
No, we didn't.
But it just flew and
we learned a lot about each other as well.
A lot of similarities as well.
Yes, for sure.
Starting with the iPhone.
Yeah, starting with the iPhone. Yeah, because we both just got a brand new iPhone and I told him the battery's rubbish. But don't sue me, Apple.
But yeah, thanks for coming, and all the best with your business and the academy. And
Thanks. Good.